Hey dear soulmate, you're welcome to today's tutorial on Benny Souls. My name is Benedict and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I made this beautiful high waist pencil skirt you see on right now on your screen. So guys, it's a very simple tutorial and if this is of interest to you, let's move over to cutting table. So guys, like I said earlier, we're making a pencil skirt and I'm making use of this print fabric I see here, and then I'm making use of this very light lining fabric. Okay, and in making this skirt, all we need, the measurement we need is our waist circumference, our hip length, knee length, above knee length, full length, and of course our hip circumference. So guys, the first thing I'm going to do right now is to fold our fabric into two using our hip circumference, which is like the highest circumference measurements that we have there. And here I'm making the hip circumference I'm making use of is 37 inches, and 37 divided by 4 is 9.25. Okay, 9 and quarter. So what I should have here is 9 and quarter plus sewing allowance, and then for this I'm making use of 1.5 sewing allowance, so I should have above 9.5, so I should have at least 11. Okay, so guys, I've gone ahead to fold it, and I'm good. First thing I'm going to do is to mark out our waistline, and then from there we're going to be taking every other necessary measurement. So like I said, the hip line I'm working with, guys, I'm also going to drop this measurements needed in the description box so you can check it out right there. So guys, this I have more than 11 inches, so this is good, fair enough, and I'm going to be making use of that. So the first thing I'm going to be doing right now, from that line I drew above the fabric, I'll be deducting 2 inches because we're going to be attaching a band to it, and then I'm going to mark my hip length, which is 10, above knee length 18, and then the full length of 28. So since I'm going to be removing, having a band, a 2 inch band at the waistline of my skirt, so I went ahead to deduct 2 inches, like you see. So my all my measurements are starting from 2 inches. So I've gone ahead to mark this inward, and I'm going to use my straight rule to actually extend the lines, like what I'm doing right there. Okay, guys, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to impute our circumference measurement. Okay, like I said, the measurement I'm working with is 30. 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'm going to mark 7.5 right there, and I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance. On the hip line, I'm marking 9.25, which is our hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 for our sewing allowance. Guys, this skirt is a dartless skirt, so there's no, I'm not making any measurement for that. Okay, now I'm measuring what I have on my hip because it's a pencil skirt, and I'm going to deduct 1 inch for it. But since I have 10.75, I'm only going to deduct the 7.5 inch, and I'm only going to mark 10 inches. But this is optional. You can deduct 1, you can deduct 1.5, but I think you can't go below 1.5, so you will be able to move in it. So here I'm also replicating the 10-inch mark on my above knee line at the hem line right there. So using my straight rule, I'm going to be joining those lines on a straight line, and then connect from my knee to the hip line, okay, and also to my waist line, like so. So here we're almost done. So I'm going to be using my freehand method to actually curving any sharp edges that we'll have right there, like you see me do. And then at the waistline, I'm going to be extend the side by upwards by half of an inch. Okay, I'm going to explain that later on as we move on. Okay, when we're trying to adjust the waistline of the front bodies, we're going to be adjusting that. So all to the way to the center front, I'm going to be marking half of an inch. So I'm going to cut it out. But first, we're going to be adding sewing allowance at the hem. Okay, so here I'm going to be marking 2 inches at the hemline. At the hemline, you can use one, you can use four, whichever way you know. But I think two it's okay. So I marked my sewing allowance and I'm extending the lines. So voila, we are done with the front piece of our skirt, and I'm going to cut this out. Okay, guys, if you're new on our YouTube channel, do hit the subscribe button. You're welcome, and stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button and then tap on the bell button beside it. So, guys, I'm done cutting out the front piece. The next thing we're going to be doing right now is to cut out the back. So what we're going to do is to fold our fabric into two, just the way we folded for the front, leaving out 1 inch at the center back, and then making sure that it's big enough to contain the front piece, and then still have our 1.5 inch at there. So right there, I went ahead to measure it, and I found that I wasn't having up to one and a half. So I moved it inwards to accommodate my skirt, and then my 1.5 extension at the mid center back right there. So guys, here I'm measuring it, and I think I have my 1.5 already, like so. I went ahead to mark all. So next thing I'm doing is to pin the front and the back piece together. I don't want them moving around while I'm trying to make adjustments. Okay, so while peeling, I'm going ahead to also confirm if I have my 1.5, and then I'll pin all the way to the hem line. So guys, here we have it. So I'm done pinning, and then this is what we have. So added another pin actually, and this is what we have. So the next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to extend the lines, our hip line and our upper knee line, and then our hem and sewing allowance line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing over is moving to the waist line. I'll go ahead and extend that too. And then on our waistline, you remember we added 1.5 inch sewing allowance, okay? So there I'm going to deduct half of an inch to remove zipper bulge, okay? I'm going to do that. I'm doing that to remove any zip bulge there. And then on the hip line, I'm going to connect it back to the hip line. The reason I'm not deducting anything at the hip line is to accommodate the butt at the back. You know, there's an extended parts, which is the butt at the back, and then the knee line, I'm going to deduct half of an inch also, so we could have that curve from the butt, and then coming in at the having a flat straight skirt at the back piece. Okay, so the bulge at the back for the butt area, just the way you usually give the curve for the breasts when we're sewing a cup, okay, for blouse. So the same way we're going to be doing this. That's the reason why I'm doing this, just for the skirt to accommodate the butt at the back. So guys, I'm using my freehand method to connect the half inch deduction at the waistline to the 1.5 inch line on the butt, and then connect it back to the upper knee line. Then I'm going to extend that line from the knee line to the full length of the skirt, like so. So I'm going ahead to mark 1 inch, then half-inch deduction right there. So I'm going to extend it using my straight rule, like so. So guys, basically we are done with this. It's a very simple and easy tutorial. Actually, it's a very simple and easy style to make. So guys, here we're done, and I'm going to be cutting it out. Okay, like so. You cut it and then cut the hem and cut the sides. So guys, do check out our other videos, okay? And then leave like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to drop a comment. We really want to hear from you. And then don't also forget to tap on the bell button. So guys, we're done. We're done. So next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to bring the back piece and then notch that zipper area that we left earlier, so it won't be confusing. You know, the hip and the butt area looks alike somehow, so it won't be confusing. And then for the front, remember we left half of an inch, we took half of an inch upwards from that center, from the center front, that starting line. I'm going to be deducting half of an inch to remove any form of folds from the center piece, okay, center front piece. So if we don't do this, we notice that there are folds when you're standing, and you notice that the folds are on the skirt. So from that half an inch line that I went down on, I'm going to connect it to our main waistline, not the sewing allowance, the waistline, okay? So from that particular half inch down, I'm going to add another half inch for sewing allowance. So guys, if you don't understand any part of this tutorial, please, I will be in the comment section to take your questions and answer them. So basically we are done with this piece, skirts and skirts, the front and the back. And then the next one we're going to be doing right now is to cut out our lining piece. So our lining piece will be shorter than this. Remember we left 2 inches at the hem allowance. As the hem allowance, I'm going to be cutting the lining piece 2.5 inch shorter, okay, just exactly what you see right there. So next thing we're going to be doing right now is the sewing. Now we're moving to the sewing of this beautiful skirt. So first thing first, I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to hold the lining and the main fabric hem together and stitch them together, okay? First off, I'm going to pin them. The lining is a very light one, so it moves about. So to avoid moving about, I used my pins to hold them in place, and I'm going to go over and sew the hem. So I'll do this for the front piece and then for the two back piece, like so. So remember we made the notch at the zipper area, so I matched the notches and then match the hem and then pin. So I'll take this over to the sewing machine and join with half of an inch. Okay, so guys, I'm done joining it and this is what we have. So the next thing we're going to be doing is to match the sides. So match up the sides. Can you see what I was talking about? So having your lining half inch shorter than your hem allowance that you left to make it be at the actual full length measurement. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to join the sides of all the pieces of the skirt, okay, both the front and the back. I'll be joining the sides. Remember we have joined the hem, so I'll join the sides still on the back, okay. So I'll join the hem. I'm pinning right there, holding the center piece so it doesn't move around. Here guys. So I'm going to go over to sewing machine right now and then sew the sides with half of an inch, the two sides of the front and then the sides of the back each. And I'm going to join and come back and show you what we have. So guys, I'm done joining it and this is what we have. So I'll flip this to the front for you to see, okay. I'm flipping it to the front so you can see what I was talking. So this is the hem. See how it is looking so beautiful. So our hem is okay, and then we have joined the sides of our lining piece and the main fabric, and this is what we have. So the next thing we're going to be doing right now is to join the front and the back piece. So bringing the back piece first off, we're going to be pinning them together, matching the zipper allowances that we made the notches earlier. Okay, so I'm going to match the two sides of the back, and I'm going to pin them. This skirt is going to be having a slit at the back. Okay, it's going to be having a slit at the back, and I'm going to measure out where my slit will start from, because that is where my stitching will end. So first off, I'm pinning them, and then to the going over to the upper part, I'm going to pin that also, leaving out our zipper allowances. So I went ahead to mark 7.5 inch zipper allowance, so right there, and I'm going to pin that particular part because we're going to be sewing from there up to where our slit would start from. So I'm just trying to adjust them so we don't have any form of folds. So while I was in there, I noticed that the upper parts were not really aligning, so I had to align that first and then pin it to hold it in place. And then I measured out my 7.5 inch again, and then I pinned it back. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to sew that part. So our slit is 9 inches from the hem. So those are the points I'm going to sew from the end of the zipper to the starting point of the slit. And then afterwards, I'm going to be joining the front and the back piece at the sides. Okay, so after joining the zipper area, I'm going to join the sides of the front and the back. So I went ahead to pin the front and the back also, like so. Okay, so guys, almost done. So I'm going to join it with 1 inch. Remember, we left 1.5 inch sewing allowance, and we have used half of an inch to sew the lining and the main fabric. So we're left with 1 inch. So I'm going to sew this up and give it a good ironing. So guys, I'm done sewing it. I'm done sewing it. And then this is what, and I went ahead to iron it. So this is what we have. It's looking pretty already. And then I flipped to the back. This is what I opened the seams and I ironed them. And then for the slit, I went ahead to use my hemming gum underneath, then I ironed it. So that's my hemming gum right there, and I'm going to use my iron to keep that in place also. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to add a zipper. Also, I went ahead to cut out this band. This is our band. This is 5 inches width, and then the measured my waist circumference. Okay, I think I have an inch longer than my waist circumference. So on fold now, after sewing, I'll be having 2 inches as my um band. And then also I went ahead to iron paper stay on one part of my band. So this is what we have. But first off, we're going to be fixing the zipper. So I've gone ahead to fix the zipper of my skirt. Okay, this zip is kind of stubborn anyway. So next thing I'm going to do right now is to cut off the excess zipper leaving half of an inch. Okay, cut off the other side, and then I'm going to bring my band. So guys, I've gone ahead. Remember, we'll notch the midpoint of our skirt, and I also notch the midpoint of the band. So first thing I'm going to do is to take the edges, fold them together, front facing front. Okay, place them front facing front. Remember, we said 2 inches. So I'm going to sew them up. So the sides, just like what I'm doing, face them first facing front, and I'm going to sew half of an inch. So guys, I'm done sewing it, and the next thing we're doing right now is to attach it to our skirt. Okay, is to attach it to our skirt. So afterwards, we're done. So guys, I'm going to match the midpoint of this skirt. I've gone ahead to notch it, and I'm going to match the midpoint from inside the skirt. I'm going to match it up like so, and I'm going to pin it down. You could also do this without pinning it, okay? But for it not to move around, I went ahead to pin it on all sides. So guys, if you're enjoying this tutorial, please go hit that like button right now and share with your friends. Hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to click on that bell button beside the subscribe button so you get notified whenever we post a new tutorial. Okay, so here guys, we're almost done with our beautiful skirts. I've gone ahead to pin it all down. So next thing we're going to do is to take it over to sewing machine and sew half inch all the way from one end to the other. Remember, we'll cut out our sewing allowance half inch. So here I'm done. I opened the seams, the side seams, while sewing it. So this is what we have. So next thing we're going to do is to flip it to the front, flip the band to the front part. Okay, and we're going to be sewing it down. Okay, it's very easy. We're going to sew it down like so. Hold it, tuck in the sides, the zipper very well, and then sew it very close to the tip of the skirt, very close to the tip of the skirt, and make sure you have no folds at the back. Then sew all the way from one end to the other. So here, that's the notch. Match up the notch at the midpoint and then sew from one end to the other. So guys, we're done sewing our skirt. See how beautiful it is. It came out so nice and beautiful. Okay, here we have it. Then the next thing we're going to be doing right now, remember we still have an opening at the back. So this is totally optional. You can do a button, a press button, you can do a hook and eye, but I prefer to use this velcro, this shoe velcro. Remember these things that we usually have at the keto sandals? Yeah, I'm going to be using that. I think I prefer using this, and I'm going to measuring it and cut out the size I need for my skirts. Okay, so here I have it. I'm opening it up, and I'm going to attach it to both sides. The one that has the hard stuff, metallic stuff, something like that, will be at the top of the flap right there. I'll pin that, and then the soft part of the velcro will be at the inner side of the skirts. So here. So when I finish sewing this, it looks so beautiful. And this is what we'll have after sewing it. I kind of like this. I prefer this. Okay, I prefer this to the hook and eye. Do I use hook and eye too? But this kind of works better for me. Okay, so here we are done. Okay, So guys, this is what our skirts turned out. So if you like the skirts, go down right below now and give us a like. Okay, this is beautiful. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, and then let us know what you think about this tutorial in the comment section. Bye.